So I'm with Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park, and a couple of things happening in your life right now that are kind of on each end of like the spectrum. You have a new solo song that's out today, out on for the Scream movie, and then of course the 20th anniversary of Meteora coming out on the 7th of April. Let's first talk about the new song and tell us about that and you know what you've been working on.
Yeah, so interesting, such a weird time to be like it's a time where I'm looking like forward and backward at the same at once. The new song is called In My Head, and it started as a demo that I played for the team making the Scream film. They were looking for some stuff for like the title credits and the end credits and things like that. And we were originally talking about me writing and producing a song for and with Demi Lovato. And I played them a different song, which they loved for that, which Demi also loved for that. And then I played them a handful of other things, including In My Head, and they just loved both. And they were like, is there any way we could do two songs? I was thrilled about that. Like, I love Scream, and I love, the opportunity of having two songs in one movie is like so cool. I've never had that. So, that all kind of came together, and it happened to be over top of, like, right in the middle of the 20th anniversary celebration of Meteora, which is our second album.
It's interesting to kind of be in this place that you're in because, you have, the couple of new songs. You did co-write the one for Demi Lovato, right? On the screen.
Yeah. I produced it and I wrote it with Demi and Laura Veltz.
And then on the new song on In My Head, you have a guest vocalist, a female artist with you on that.
Yeah. So I when I finished, I had written it with a second voice in mind, and I did. I don't know that I demoed it with a little bit to try and see if that should be a male vocalist or a female vocalist. And once I knew it should be female, I called Kaylee immediately because she is a huge horror movie fan and a huge Scream fan. And I was just like, this is like, she'll be so excited about this. And this is such a good fit. Her voice is going to sound great. She's got like, I don't know, like there's a darkness to her, the way, like her aesthetic and the way she does things that I just thought would feel it would feel so good with this project.
It's a cool song, and I love the areas you're exploring, with your solo work these days. Back to the 20th anniversary of Meteora. I'm going to make us both sound like old guys, but oh my God, 20 freaking years.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Good God.
It is like the whole thing was like watching an old slideshow or like finding a box of photos that you didn't know you had. Like, we went into, hard drives and, filing boxes and closets to find things that were from the era that people hadn't seen. And I'd kind of forgotten about this song Lost. And by the way, forgotten about some of the other tracks that we had made at the time. We made, in order to arrive at 12 songs on our second album, Meteora, we probably made 20 something demos. And, when we narrowed it down to the final 12, Lost would have been number 13. The reason it didn't make it on the album was because we had this other song called Numb. And then in putting this package together, this past year, we found versions of some of the other demos that I forgot we had. There's a couple other really great songs with full vocals top to bottom. One called Fighting Myself, one called More the Victim. Like they're Meteora songs. And I'm really excited for people to hear those as well.
When you came across Lost, how complete was it when you kind of found it on a hard drive somewhere?
It's what you hear. Like
really?
Yeah. We touched up the mix and we we mastered it, but other than that, we didn't want to mess with the shape of it at all. No, we didn't like re-record or record or add like anything to these, really. They were all, this is what was made in 2003.
For people that don't know, yeah, like you mentioned earlier, you know, when a band goes in the studio to cut a record, there's, you know, at least twice as many tracks that'll get dealt with in some fashion before the album is done. And it's likely that these will be kicking around. And it's like this, it's such a damn good song too. Like, I don't know how you kept it under wraps for 20 years.
Well, I mean, like really, like we had intended to do something with it, but by the time we got to our next album, we had done Meteora, we had done Collision Course with Jay-Z. I had done a solo album called Fort Minor. Chester had done a side project called Dead by Sunrise. Like we were ready with our next album. We were ready to like look forward and not backward. We wanted to reinvent the band on our, I guess it was probably around 2007 release, Minutes to Midnight. So that to look backward and pull from old demos would have been the opposite of what we wanted to do. So all these songs just went directly into storage.
I love that, you know, that you're sharing them with us now. Are there going to be any live tracks, any video collections?
Oh, from that era? I mean, that's what Meteora. So the Meteora 20 package is like, it's basically a box set. It's like 5 vinyl records, 4 CDs, 3 DVDs, a book, stickers, stencils, like all of these visuals that people haven't seen. One of the DVDs is like a 70-something minute long documentary just of footage from that time. The vinyl, like on all of those items, there are live performances from the era. On one of the, like, I think 2 of the CDs, is it 1 or 2 of the CDs? Those are demos that have been released in one way or another, but they're very uncommon. And then the Lost Demos album is completely new, old stuff.
So it's a treasure trove, kind of like what you did with.
It's comprehensive.
20th.
It's the
like
whole.
With
it's
Hybrid
everything.
Theory.
Yeah, it's everything. It's more. We have more stuff for Meteora 20 than we did for Hybrid Theory 20, because in Hybrid Theory 20 we weren't recording everything. We weren't video. We didn't have a videographer. We weren't photographing as much because we were just a baby band. Like, who knows what was going to happen? So by the time we got to Meteora, we had brought our friend out with us to like film stuff. We started like cataloging things, like just knowing that at the time we were thinking we would upload certain things to YouTube and stuff like that. YouTube, by the way, was new. If you can, like, they want to talk about how old this album is. YouTube was new, and people were creating anime music videos using like Dragon Ball Z and like Naruto and like editing them together to Linkin Park music back then. Like it was the original like TikTok.
You were the first to ever go viral. I love it.
I mean, not really first to go viral, but the format was that was the original version of the new format that everyone shares. It's clipped together original video and put some interesting and popular piece of music or audio underneath it. That's what most like TikToks and Reels, or so many TikToks and Reels are.
It's interesting to me that you can take a record like Meteora or any of your albums, you know, but you know, Meteora in particular, because it's, you know, the 20th anniversary, and you can play those songs to almost anyone and they'll know them. Like I have a 15-year-old nephew, and I mean, the album was made before he was born. He loves it, and you know, it's in his playlist just like anything.
Yeah, I mean, we're really, you know, obviously feel very grateful to have had like a multi-generational fan base. That's been going on for a long time. I remember back, you know, maybe 7 years ago ish. I think I was like, we were playing the Hollywood Bowl in LA, and I saw like a father and a daughter watching the show every time we played one of the older songs, he would get all excited and he'd be like elbowing her, like, this is the song, and then we play a newer thing and she was doing that to him. Like, and I remember we played our newest single at the time was, she was like jumping up and down in her seat and her dad was kind of like soaking it in, but he wasn't as familiar. Like that was, that's always a fun, that's been a fun thing to experience as the artist, for so many years. And yeah, like with the new, like even most recently, like I'm not super good at like TikTok or whatever. I have an account, and for this new, the new song, we came up with some ideas that we think are fun and have been making like little videos and stuff just to have engage and have fun on the platforms where younger folks are at. I mean, I'm on it watching things. I'm never on it like posting stuff. So to be on there posting stuff now is like, I don't know. It's like I'm part of the reason I love this, to like doing what I do, is that the creative part comes naturally. I have to do that. Like I have to make art. I have to make songs. And then beyond that, the connection with people is the next most important component. Like getting in, social spaces, whether it be online or in person, with people is like an integral part of the process.
One of the tracks that we started to play off the last Linkin Park album, and it kind of, and I believe you wrote it, was One More Light. And that in Salt Lake City was a huge hit, and we had kind of started dabbling with it just before we lost Chester. And while that song not about him at all, my God, it just was so haunting, and still is, to hear that.
It was about it was originally written for a woman with whom we worked. She worked at Warner and had been with us like on all of our albums pretty much. And she passed away from cancer. And so I was in the studio when they had the like memorial, and it was just me and a friend of mine named his name's Francis, but he goes by Egg White. His last name is White. And Egg and I were in the studio. We were writing some things and kind of couldn't write anything but that day. It just felt like the only thing that made any sense to address. And because we knew it would be a very heavy song, but it's like, just had to get it out of my system. And I do love how that song came out, and it did take on a different, meaning after the fact. Some people actually misunderstood that. They thought it was written like it was somehow written or directed at Chester or something, or that he had written it about something else. But I don't know where that rumor came from. It was, the story that and by the way, he knew the woman's name was Amy. And when I originally played my demo of it for Chester, he was like, oh, this is like, he loved that song. He's just like, this is so amazing. It's like exactly the right thing to say,
It was one of those songs where, and I've been, hearing music and playing it on the radio for years now, and God almighty, just goosebumps. I mean, it just knocks you flat. That's some powerful stuff. And you get that from Linkin Park. I mean, that's what you guys have done for years. So
it's funny. Nobody would like, if this, going back to the Meteora subject, like, I don't think anybody would have expected us at that moment before Meteora came out, in the hybrid theory era. We would never have been expected to be able to stretch into so many different genres and styles of songs that we ended up doing. If you imagine that the only thing you ever heard from Linkin Park is hybrid theory, then there's a whole universe of other things that we didn't do. And it started with Meteora. Well, Meteora was the first time that we said, okay, we need to open up other sonic approaches, other palettes of things in order to be a band for the long haul. So that's why on Meteora, for the first time, you get songs like Breaking the Habit or Session or Nobody's Listening. Like Nobody's Listening is a rap song with a Japanese flute sample. Session is an instrumental song that lives more in the world, I think, more in the world of like Aphex Twin or Square Pusher. And then Breaking the Habit has no heavy guitars, no screaming, none of that stuff. Like it's a more of a loop based track, live strings, clean guitars, and a really passionate vocal.
And it really continued, into the third album, into Minutes to Midnight. You started to get, tracks like Shadow of the Day, and the approach just was so vibrantly different.
Yeah, and jumping to like when we started talking about like looking forward and looking backward at this particular moment in time, to have a brand new solo song and a 20-year-old song come out at the same time, to me, it's really fun to look at like the similarities and differences, and also just the fact that like what we were doing back in the era of Meteora, like really set the stage for me personally to be able to like express myself in other ways. And true for each of the guys in the band, like it was after that I did Fort Minor. It was after that Chester did Dead by Sunrise and so on. So with a song like In My Head, which is out, now this week, it's almost fun to see how genreless things have become. Like it's a song that like pulls from so many different little bits and pieces of sounds from different things. And when I hear it, as I was making it, I was thinking like, I don't know what kind of song this is. It just sounds good to me.
It's fun to see the creations continue, Will you have like an EP or a full solo album, or are you just kind of letting
I'm
things
not
happen?
there yet. No, I don't. I've been writing quite a bit recently, and I'm in the studio all the time. So we'll see what comes next. I think I'm gonna keep at that, and for fans that have been paying attention, I've been writing and producing for other people in recent years, and not really putting my voice on anything. I've been staying away from putting my voice on anything. And so, this is a change of gears in a sense that I'm now feeling like it's a good time to start making some solo music again.
Well, very good. We could spend the rest of the day chatting, but I know you've got other interviews stacked up, Mike. It's still cool that even back in the days with Linkin Park and even today, you take the time to talk to us and even have the time to do some interviews like this. So we appreciate that. Always have.
Of course, man. I appreciate you and everybody who's like out there supporting the band. It's like, we've got such a cool, diverse fan base. Like it'd be silly for me to not take the time and respect that and thank everybody.
Very good. Well, check out Mike Shinoda's new song, In My Head. And thanks for spending time with us today, Mike.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.